Juniper Junos configuration types and configure commands are what we will discuss and implement in this section. We have two types of Junos configuration: active configuration, in which it is live, and candidate configuration, which includes also some changes but will be active after commit command. If there are multiple Juniper administrators on the network, what happens if they configure at the same time and some configurations also conflict? We will also see the difference between configure private, and configure exclusive in this regard. As we have seen in the previous sections, we have two types of configuration: active configuration and candidate configuration. Active configuration is the configuration which is live in Juniper device, and you can check it with a show configuration command in operational mode. Candidate configuration includes also additional changes that you have configured but you have not yet activated. With commit command, the new changes will be added to the active configuration. As you know, you use configure command in Juniper devices to change the operational mode to the configuration mode. You have several options with configure commands that behave differently when more than one Juniper administrator is changing the configuration at the same time, and some configurations are likely also to conflict. The configure command with no option allows all Juniper admins to configure at the same time, and when one admin commit the configuration changes, then the other admin's changes are also committed. In the event of a conflict, the most recent changes take precedence. Configure exclusive command locks the configuration, and it is not possible for more than one administrator to configure the device at the same time, and therefore there is no conflict. With configure private command, each user has a private candidate configuration independently of other users. If another user also has modified the configuration, by default each administrator has its own candidate configuration to commit, but there is also option to merge the changes into your private candidate configuration and then commit the changes. In the event of a conflict, the first commit operations take precedence. In the previous section, we have seen the difference between active and candidate configuration, but just to review, let's see the difference once again practically. With show configuration display set, we can see the set version of active configuration and then match hostname. We can see the hostname in the active configuration is virtual SRX. Then we change the hostname in configuration mode. The command set system hostname virtual SRX underline temp. Then we check again the hostname in active configuration with a run command to run the operational show configuration command in configuration environment. Run show configuration display set and then match host. This is a operational command show configuration, but to run in the configuration mode we have to add a run at the beginning of the command. As you can see, the hostname has not changed in the active configuration and it is still virtual SRX. But with the show compare command, we can see the difference between candidate and active configuration. We can see that the hostname has changed from virtual SRX to virtual SRX temp, but it is still in candidate configuration. With commit command in the configuration mode, the new hostname will be pushed into active configuration. Again, we run show configuration. display set match hostname, we see that the hostname is now changed from virtual SRX to virtual SRX 10. I will change again the hostname to virtual SRX and then commit. Now let's review the implementation of configure commands in Juniper devices. We use the configure command in Juniper devices to configure new changes. But what if more than one Juniper administrator is changing the configuration at the same time, and probably some configuration conflict? We have already discussed different configure command options. Let's check them together practically to see the difference between them. First of all, let's check configure command with no options. CLI and then configure command. I modify some configuration by two users, both root and Rika, where part of them conflict. With the user root, I configure hostname as set system hostname virtual SRX underline root and create a new username Rika1 with read-only privilege with command set system login user Rika1 class read only and then authentication plain text password and rika-code.com again rika-code.com. Then I will enter to the configuration mode with user Rika configure. You notice that the root user is also changing the configuration at the same time. In the edit level, the configuration has been changed but not committed. I changed also here hostname to a conflicting name. For example, set system hostname virtual SRX underline Rika instead of root, and also create a new user Rika2 with read-only privilege. Set system login user Rika2 class read-only and authentication plain text and then rika-code.com again. Then I will come back to the root user in the configuration mode and then show compare to be committed in the root configuration mode. As you can see, the conflicting hostname will be changed to the virtual SRX Rika, which is the most changes done through Rika user and not current root user. Notice also that both user Rika1 and Rika2 is added to the configuration modified with current root admin user and also configuration of Rika admin user. Now that we know what happened when multiple users configure Juniper devices at the same time with a configure command with no options, then we can discard all changes with rollback 0 command in both root and Rika user rollback 0 show compare. There is nothing to commit. Exit and exit. Now let's check configure exclusive command behavior. With the user root, I entered the configuration mode, but this time with configure exclusive command. Then I configure hostname as virtual SRX root and create a new user Rika1 with read-only privilege as we have done in the previous section. Hostname and Rika1 with the password rika-code.com rika-code.com. Then I will enter the configuration mode with user Rika configure or configure exclusive, you notice that the root user is also changing the configuration at the same time, but has locked the configuration, and I am not allowed to do any configuration changes. The root user in the exclusive mode, the configuration has been changed but not committed. It is locked. I can enter the configuration mode and exit, but I am not allowed to do any new changes. Now that we know the difference between configure and configure exclusive command, again I discard all the changes with rollback 0 in root user and again exit. Now let's check configure private command behavior. The user root, I enter configure private command, then I configure again the same configuration, set hostname to virtual-SIX root, and create a user Rika1 as a read-only user. Then I will enter to the configuration mode with user Rika, configure private. Again, you notice that already the user root is configuring the configuration. User currently editing the configuration, the user root in the private environment and in the level of edit configuration. Then again, I change the hostname to the conflicting hostname virtual-SIX Rika, and also I create a new user Rika2. Then I will come back again to the root user configuration mode and use show compare command in the root configuration mode. As you can see, the conflicting hostname configuration will be changed to the virtual-SIX root, which is the first changes done through root users, opposite to the configure with no option command. Notice that only user Rika1 is added to the configuration, modified with the current root admin users, and private configuration of Rika admin user Rika2 is not added to the configuration.